Good morning, and thank you for joining us on this SAG-AFTRA live stream on YouTube. To stay informed about all of our live stream and video events, we invite you to subscribe to this channel. You can go ahead and do that right now. Today, we present the President's Task Force on Education Outreach and Engagement live stream program, Biz Basics, Zoom 101. We'll be pausing throughout as we'll have with us interpreters Nicole Pancino and Mara Bassani Santamaria. Mara and Nicole will be switching off periodically throughout today's discussion as they translate the program into American Sign Language. Thank you for being with us, Mara and Nicole. The presentation will begin momentarily. If you have questions that you'd like to direct to today's guests, please email pteoe@sagaftra.org. That's pteoe@sagaftra.org. As a reminder, today's program is being recorded and you can watch the replay right here on SAG-AFTRA's YouTube channel, along with a lot more really terrific content. Now, please give a warm welcome to today's host, SAG-AFTRA Executive Director, Duncan Crabtree Ireland.
Well, hello, everyone. Thanks, Pam. And welcome back to PTEOE's Biz Basics, a series of programs aimed at honing the basic tech skills all SAG-AFTRA members need to pound the digital pavement. This series features presentations that teach you the how-tos of managing the business of the biz online. You asked for it, and we are so happy to partner with the SAG-AFTRA Foundation to bring you today's presentation, Zoom 101. Since the start of the pandemic, video conferencing skills have become a must, not just to keep in touch with friends and family, but to audition and even to shoot remotely. Everyone from casting directors to agents to SAG-AFTRA and the SAG-AFTRA Foundation uses Zoom to connect. And the ability to use the software is a skill everyone must have. Today, you'll learn the basics of how to use Zoom, including downloading the program, registering for an account, and the basic functions of the software. As always, if you have questions for the Q&A at the end of the presentation, please email them to pteoe@sagaftra.org. That's pteoe@sagaftra.org. We have with us today SAG-AFTRA Chief Communications and Marketing Officer Pamela Greenwalt, who will be helping lead our Q&A after today's presentation. And we are very, very thrilled to have with us again, Jay Cho, SAG-AFTRA Foundation's IT and Creative Production Manager. Jay runs the New York Computer Lab, which offers over a dozen classes that help members not only understand the digital side of the business, but also to use technology as a catalyst to enable new opportunities for their careers. Jay has been teaching classes to our members in the New York local since 2016. And over the last year, he's been teaching these classes virtually to our members from across the country. He has an MFA from NYU in film production. And prior to that, he was an entrepreneur focusing on technology and marketing. And since arriving at the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, he has discovered a love of teaching. Thank you so much for being here, Jay. We are really excited to learn all the basics that we need to know about Zoom.
Thank you, Duncan. Thank you, SAG-AFTRA, for having me back. It's a pleasure to be here. I appreciate the invitation. I'm excited to present today's presentation. So let me get started.
Great.
So I'm going to share my screen and start my presentation. So today's presentation is called Biz Basics Zoom 101. As Duncan mentioned, I work for the SAG-AFTRA Foundation, specifically run the Computer Lab in New York and teach all the classes in the Computer Lab where we teach members all kinds of new skills using software that are designed to help empower members to take control of their careers and further them by doing all kinds of wonderful things using technology. So today's class is pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about Zoom, obviously, and I'm going to talk first about how Zoom works, just to sort of lay a foundation to understand exactly the mechanics of it all. And it's pretty straightforward, but there are lots of things you should know and be aware of, and that way you won't get flummoxed by any of these steps going forward. I'm going to talk about how to download and update the Zoom software, how to create your own Zoom account if you don't have one already, and how to set up and host your own meetings once you have your account, because you can do so once you have your own free Zoom account. And then lastly, I'll take you through a bunch of the Zoom controls that you can take advantage of to make your experience as enjoyable as possible. Okay, so how Zoom works. So Zoom is obviously a software that enables us to virtually be together. Zoom requires someone to host the session. You can host a session on a regular computer like I have here. But you can also use a tablet, a phone, a laptop, any device that has access to the internet, generally speaking, can host a Zoom session, Zoom meeting, whatever you want to call it. The participants, once the host has created and initiated the Zoom meeting, can log in and join and participate in that meeting via, again, any of those devices, desktop, laptop, iPhone, smartphone, or tablet. So creating, hosting, and joining a meeting can all be done on either the Zoom website or the Zoom software. I get asked, does it have to be one or the other? It does not actually matter because they both offer many of the same things, specifically enabling you to do any of those three things from either the website or the Zoom software. So in terms of what the host is doing, on the host side, once you have an account, obviously, and I'll take you through that in a second. But again, I just want to make sure you understand how this all works. The host creates a new meeting via the Zoom website or the Zoom software, as I mentioned before, for a specific date and time. When that happens, Zoom assigns a unique meeting ID number and also provides you a convenient website link. And I'll get more into that in a moment. And then you as the host would then provide that information, the Zoom information, the details of this online event via Zoom to your participants so that they can access the meeting either through the meeting ID number or through that website link. And then the host must initiate the Zoom meeting so that the participants can then join the meeting. So let me back up, actually. So I'm going to just take you quickly through the steps towards creating a meeting on the website. So let me just stop my share and just change it for one moment and go to my other share, which is my desktop. Okay. So I'm on a browser. I'm using a browser right now, specifically Google Chrome. This will work on any browser, Safari, Edge, Firefox, you name it. So I'm on the Zoom website now, and I'm going to sign in to an account. And you see I'm now signed in to my account. On the left-hand side, you see I've got a meetings button there. And when I'm here, I see all of my upcoming meetings by default. If I want to make a new meeting, over here on the right-hand side, there's a schedule meeting button. And I could then give that meeting a name, whatever name I want to give it. And that name would appear when your participants enter your meeting. And then you could also give their meeting a description if you'd like. And then you'll simply enter the when and the time and date, how long your meeting is. And this is warning me that I'm using not my work account, but a basic free account, because I want you to see what it looks like with the free account versus my work account, which is a paid account, which has more bells and whistles that you may not see. So I didn't want to use that account. And then you will enter all this information in, and then you hit save. And you see here, there is the invite link and the meeting ID. So to grab the meeting ID, they make it really easy for you. If I click on over here, this copy invitation button, I can click on that, and you see there is the meeting ID and the website link. And either one will work. And I'll talk more about exactly how they work in a moment. Okay, but either one work perfectly fine. There's no preference as to what you should do as the participant to enter that Zoom meeting. Now, by default, they set up this meeting with a passcode, and Zoom has been very vigilant about making sure all their sessions are as secure as possible. You can actually turn this off if you'd like. In other words, you can set your meeting up so that it doesn't require participants to enter a passcode if you like, but it's there by default for your convenience. Okay, so I could actually copy the whole, all this text right here by clicking on this button that says copy meeting invitation. And that information will get copied to my clipboard, and then I could paste that into the email that I'm sending to my participants, or enter it, paste it into any document to invite my participants to my meeting. I can also just highlight the information if I wanted to and copy it like so. But it's all there for your convenience. So I'll just cancel that. Just I wanted to show you how exactly you'd set up your meeting. And then once your meeting's about to start, you come back to this to the website if you'd like. You can also do this in the software as well. And you'd come over here, and if you hover over your meeting, hit start, then the software or the website will then initiate the software, which will then initiate your meeting. Okay. Let me go back to my presentation now because I want to show you how else you can do this. So you can also do this via the software. Again, you can do this on either the website or the software. Now, I can't take you step by step in the software since we're actually in Zoom right now. So I made some screenshots to make it easy. And it's going to look a little bit different based on what device you're using. I'm doing this on a computer, a desktop computer, and it would look the same on a laptop. But if you're doing this on a tablet or on a smartphone, the interface will look approximately the same, but it may look a little bit different. But the basics are all there. So to schedule a meeting, I would come over here, click on that, and then I'll be taken through a series of steps, just like you saw on the website, to create a meeting. You can come over here as well if you want to just start an impromptu meeting. Click on that new meeting button, and the Zoom software will initiate a meeting right then and there. So that's how you can set up. Participants can join via the, So participants can also join via the website or the Zoom software as well, using either the meeting ID or the website link. So if you wanted to join a meeting, so someone sent you an invitation, they gave you the meeting ID number, and you wanted to enter that on the website or the software, here's how you would do that. So I'm going to log out of Zoom just to show you how easy it is to join a meeting. So at the very top, we're on zoom.us, the website for Zoom. And at the very top, you see a couple key buttons there. The first one I'm going to point out is join a meeting. When I click on that, it's going to ask me to enter the ID number that I was provided by the host. And when I put those numbers in and hit join, the website will then initiate the software, which will then initiate the meeting. And there you are. Okay. Back to my presentation. Or you can do this via the software. And again, so this is the software, the interface of the software, and you hit this join button. And just as you saw on the website a second ago, you'll see a little pop-up window asking you to put the meeting ID number in this first space. This indicates how you want to be seen. In other words, the name that'll appear when you enter the Zoom meeting. And you can obviously edit that. And if you don't want to connect your audio right away, or you want to turn off your video when you enter, you can elect to do that as well. Okay, so once that is entered, this join button will be clickable. Click on that, and then again, the software this time will just open up the meeting or enter the meeting, and you'll be ready to go. So you can also use a website link. So you can use the meeting ID or the website link. So as the host, remember when we made the meeting, Zoom gave us a meeting ID number as well as a convenient link, because it's sometimes just easier versus instead of typing in a bunch of numbers, just clicking on a link. We're all used to that, right? So the host can then send that website link, and then the recipients of that invitation can then click on that website link in their email or on a website, and then the website will then initiate the software and then take you into that meeting. Okay. And the website link looks something like this. It's almost always zoom.us/j/ a series of numbers. So it's important, I think, to recognize what's happening here, because whether you do this on this website or in the software, everything eventually ends in the software because the Zoom session is actually happening in the software. Sometimes members think that the Zoom session is happening in the browser, and that's actually not the case. The browser is just a convenient way of getting access to the meeting and eventually into the Zoom software, which handles the meeting. And I think I just said that. So again, however you initiate or join a Zoom meeting, everyone ends up in the Zoom software. So how do I get the Zoom software? Well, you download it from the Zoom website. And again, that is zoom.us. The page for the downloads is actually zoom.us/download. And I'll take you there right now. So I'm going to back up a little bit, and I'm going to just type in zoom.us/download, hit enter to be taken to that page. And it's conveniently the very first link on this page. You see Zoom client for meetings. I'll click on download. In fact, I'll just do that right now. You see it's downloading to my computer. Typically, when you download things to your computer via your browser, that download is put or sent to your downloads folder on your computer. If you don't see it there, perhaps your browser was set to receive downloads in a different folder location, and you would simply go back to your browser's preferences and just take a look at where exactly you have your downloads set to be sent to. Sometimes you have it sent to the desktop or some other folder for your convenience, but typically it's in your downloads folder. You would then go to your downloads folder. If you're on a Mac, you would simply go to your Finder window, locate the downloads folder, and you'll see the downloads will be there. In fact, I'll do that right now, just so you can see what's happening when I do that. Oops. So I'm in downloads, and you can see here that I have a zoom.pkg. That's the installation software to install the Zoom software. So I'd click twice to run that installation software, and it'll take me through a couple steps and then install the Zoom software on my computer. And now I've got it on my computer, and whenever I want to host or join a meeting, it'll be there for me to use. Go back to my presentation. How do I update the Zoom software? So you can always just go back to the same page, the download page, and re-download the latest software. Or you can very easily check for updates within the Zoom software. So I've got a little screenshot here on my Mac, and I'm in the Zoom software. You can see that the Zoom software is running right now because you can see it highlighted right there. And then if you click on that zoom.us menu on the Mac, you'll see that there's an option for check for updates. And if I click on that, the Zoom software will then ping the Zoom website, make sure that you're running the latest version. And if you're not, it'll tell you what the latest version number is and then give you the option of updating your software to the latest version. And I recommend doing this because Zoom is constantly updating the software, so it's running as smoothly as possible, but also to give you all the new features and updates that they provide. So if you can also do this within the Zoom software itself. So on the on the computer. This is on a PC instead of on the Mac. On the PC side, if I click on your, sometimes it's actually your profile photo, the top right corner. Mine is the SAG-AFTRA Foundation logo. If I click on that, you'll see a panel open up, which is on the right-hand side of my presentation. And here you'll see check for updates. So I'm actually not Grant McLaren. Obviously, this is taken from the Zoom website, but I wanted to quickly show you what that looks like so you'll see it and know what it's doing, which is giving you the option of also checking for your updates. Okay, and then likewise, once you click on that button, the Zoom software will then check to see if it's got the latest version, and it will give you the option of updating your software. Okay, now how do I create an account? So I've got the software, I know how all this works. How do I create an account? Again, everything's happening on the website. So let's go to the website and create an account. So again, I'm on zoom.us, which is the website for Zoom. And in bright orange here, we have a button that says sign up. It's free and it's very easy to sign up. I'm going to click that button and you see I've got a verification page because Zoom wants me to be at least 18 years old. So they restrict account holders so that you have to be at least 18 years old. So you'll enter your birthday. I'll just enter something quickly for you. Hit continue. And then you're going to enter your email address. And once you enter your email address and hit sign up, the website will email you a verification email saying, hey, click on this link to verify your email address and start your account. Once you do that, you'll be taken back to the Zoom website where you'll enter your password for your new Zoom account. And once you do that, you've got your Zoom account ready to go. It really is that simple. So how do I set up and host a Zoom meeting? I took you through those steps again. And again, I want to reinforce that all of this can be done on either the website or the software. For hosts, meetings can be set up or customized in a number of ways. You can add waiting rooms so that when people enter your Zoom meeting, they're put in a sort of a holding area. And as the host, you can let them in one at a time. If you've ever taken computer lab classes, I do employ the waiting room so that I can make sure everyone entering the class is on my list. And this is a way to of keeping your meeting secure and and as a way of preventing unintended participants from entering your session. You can enable the chat so that the participants in the room can chat with one another, chat with you. You can enable breakout rooms, which imagine you're in a large seminar and the meeting organizers want to allow breakout rooms so you can have smaller group discussions. You can use that. You can create breakout rooms in Zoom to enable that functionality so that your participants can then go off and have little Zoom meetings on their own. And then you set all that up as the host. The participants cannot do this on their end. This is all from the host perspective. And then you can enable screen sharing if you'd like. You can allow participants to share their screens if you'd like. And again, if you take a computer lab class, you know that I've got that turned on because sometimes you'll need to share your screen so we can teach you how to use the software. And then you can also enable screen recording. All this is available on a free account as well, so that your meeting can actually be recorded and saved to your computer after this session is concluded. And there are other features as well. Let me just take you through a couple of those just to show you what that looks like on the websites. And now one thing to be aware of is this customization does not appear in this great detail on the software. All the administrative stuff is really being handled by the website. So as the host, if you wanted to customize how your meetings look and operate, you want to do this on the website. So let me just quickly show you what that looks like right now. So I'm going to go back to my browser. I'm going to sign in to my free basic account. And here I am. And again, on the left-hand side, you see some information. You see administrative features. I'm going to click on profile, obviously. You can edit your name. You can edit your picture by clicking on this to upload a picture of your choosing. You can, you've got a personal meeting ID, which means you've got your own personal Zoom meeting room you can use for any purpose. And you can sort of have a recurring meeting. You can have whatever you'd like. It's just your meeting room and it's dedicated to you. If I go to meetings now, again, you can see where my upcoming meetings are and scheduling new meetings. I can also create webinars, which are like a Zoom meeting, except they're more one-directional. You're making a presentation, just like today's webinar is. It's more about me teaching you or showing you a presentation, and there's less interaction back and forth because it's a one-sided presentation. You can record your sessions, as I just mentioned before. And here are your settings, as I mentioned before. This is where you can customize everything about your Zoom meetings. You can customize security. Again, you can enable the waiting room, enable the passcode or not. And if you go down the list, you can see all kinds of functions and options you can click on to turn them on or turn them off, whether participants can share their video, and basically all the details and every step of the process of setting up your meeting and make it the experience that you want to cultivate for your participants. Okay, I'm going to stop that and go back to my presentation. So now we know how Zoom works. We know how to get the software. We know how to create meetings. We know how to set up an account. Now that let's pretend we're now in a Zoom session, as I am right now. At the very bottom of the Zoom window, once you're in a meeting, you'll see a panel, a row of controls. And this is how it looked on my Mac with a pro account. This is how it looked on my PC with a free account. So it looks a little bit different, obviously, when you've got a pro account and you're hosting a session, you have more buttons available to you. And when you're a participant, you have fewer buttons available to you because those other buttons on the host side are meant to control and organize the meeting to their liking. I'm going to take you through some of these buttons right now, step by step. So in the far left, bottom left corner, we have the audio and video buttons. You can see here, I did not join the audio or did not connect my audio to the Zoom session, which is why you see the words join audio there. Once my audio is joined, though, you'll instead see a mute and then unmute button, which means that you can, when you speak, your audio will be heard in the meeting when you're unmuted. And then if you're muted, obviously, your audio will not be heard. And then if you click on the little arrow next to that mute unmute button or that join audio button, in my case here, you can see buttons that allow you to set the audio settings and also test your speaker and microphone, which is great because sometimes you'll enter a meeting and you'll discover your audio is not connected correctly. You can use that button to deduce why that's the case. Very often it's simply you perhaps set it to the wrong speaker or microphone, and that test speaker or microphone button will help you get on the right track. Okay. So if you hit the audio settings button, though, you'll see something like this. And all kinds, again, here's that test speaker and microphone buttons. You can assign what Zoom is using for the speaker and for your microphone. And again, sometimes you have it set to the wrong thing, and just setting it to the right thing solves the issue. You can do some convenient things. Zoom automatically can adjust the microphone volume, suppress background noise, all kinds of little options for you to enhance your audio, again, to your liking. Next to the audio button is the video button. And obviously, you'll have to have a camera connected to your computer so that people can see you in the Zoom session. If not, then you'll see that the video option button will not be available to you because there's no camera or device to enable us to see you in the Zoom meeting. But if there is, you can actually select what it's using as the camera. My computer has a couple choices here, and again, if I didn't have any choices, obviously that would not be available to me. Below the selection for the camera, you can see that there are options to choose a virtual background or a video filter and then video settings. So they basically go to the same place, which is here. So you see here are the settings, is the settings panel for the Zoom. And right above the audio button is video, which is where I'm at right now. And down below, again, I can also set what Zoom is using for my camera here as well. I can touch up my appearance right below that, which is a lovely little tip for members because it will smooth out some lines and make your appearance a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, I suppose is the right word to say. I would just say there that as actors, I know that's an interesting option. But for casting, I just want to caution you, you don't want to misrepresent yourselves. So I would use it sparingly or in the right context. And then below that, we can adjust for low light. So if you're in an environment that doesn't have a lot of light, you can click that button and the software will amplify the image to make you look a little bit better there or make it easier to see you. And then there are more options below that, obviously. Okay. There are also backgrounds and filters. So if before, when I was on this panel here, if I chose virtual background or choose video filter, I'll be taken to this screen here. Okay, and it's the same panel, but you see below video and audio, we have an option for background and filters. And so by default, I have mine set to none. And if you want to make sure that you don't have something that your kids put on there for fun and want to avoid something potentially embarrassing from appearing, you would come over here to double check that your background is set to none. Otherwise, you can use any of the backgrounds that Zoom provides. You can even set your own background. If you come over here to the side, there's this plus sign. Clicking that will enable you to select a file. It can be a photo, it can be an image, it can be a video that will then appear in the background of you on Zoom. And then if you even have options, if you've got a green screen, which can make your backgrounds look a little bit better. And you can even mirror my video so that it looks the way you're basically flipped so that you look the way you're supposed to look, I guess is the best way to put it. And then Studio Effects over here gives you just more options for backgrounds and filters, all kinds of fun stuff. Okay, so this is a security button. And as I said before, Zoom has been really good about trying to strengthen their security protocols so that all the sessions are secure. And so there's a button here to help you manage those security options. You can allow participants to share a screen, to chat, rename themselves, unmute themselves, start video, or turn them off, again, based on whatever meeting you are organizing. Okay. Next to security is the participants button. So if you click on the participants button at the bottom of the Zoom window, a panel will open on the right-hand side with all the participants in the meeting. This was a very lonely meeting when I set this up, so it's only me. You would see everyone's names appear here. And you can even, as the host, mute them on your own. As the participant, you cannot mute other participants as much as you might like to, but the host has that ability, the participants do not. As the participant, you only have the ability to mute and unmute yourself, and the host cannot unmute you for you. So next to participants is the chat button. So you see this first panel here, you see I've got the chat and the participants panel side by or on top of each other. They're stacked because both were selected. So when that happens, it looks like this. The participants are on the top, the chat area is down below. If the participants button was not selected and only the chat button selected, then you would see it look like this, and the chat area would take up the entire right panel of the Zoom window. Notice as the host, you have options to mute everybody if you'd like. And again, when the participants want to unmute themselves, they can do so on their own. So share screen. So share screen means that as the host or the participant, you can, if this functionality is turned on for that meeting, you can share what's on your screen. And so you hit this green share screen button. When you do that, you'll see this white pop-up appear. It's basically asking you, so since you asked to share your screen, it's asking you what exactly do you want to share? And it's giving you all kinds of options, and basically everything that is open on your computer at that moment in time, Zoom identifies and makes it available for you to share either everything on your desktop, like I have right now with this blue highlight around that, which is what I usually do, or a specific application, which is what I'm doing in this Zoom session today. Okay, and if you're sharing video, down in the bottom left corner, you have options to share sound, because let's say the thing you're sharing is a music file or a video. If you don't have this turned on, you would see the video, and if it was a video, but not hear the audio. So Zoom would then make sure that audio was heard if that share sound button is checked. And it can also optimize the video to make the appearance look as strong as possible. And I obviously always recommend doing so when you're sharing videos in your Zoom sessions. And then when you're ready to stop sharing, at the top, at the top of the screen, you'll see the same panel appear. And then in addition, an option to stop the share. And hitting that button, obviously, will stop your screen sharing. Next to screen sharing or share screen, sometimes there's a record button. Again, the host would have to enable this. And as the host, if you're on a pro account or a paid account, you have the option of recording to the cloud, which saves space on your computer. If you're on a free account, and again, if the host enabled recording, you can record the session to your computer. Next to that, there's a raise hand button. And when I hit that raise hand button, in the Zoom, you'll see next to that person's face in the Zoom session will be this little hand icon indicating that that person has raised their hand, which is, again, helpful if everyone's muted, they want to raise their hand, they'd hit that raise hand button, and then you as the presenter could call on them and they could unmute themselves and ask a question. And if that question was asked, they can then lower their hand as the participant, and also the host can also do that once that question has been answered. Okay. Next up is a closed caption button, and you as the host can assign someone to type the closed caption information, or you can type it yourself, or you can even use a third-party service. And this API token is a fancy way of saying I want Zoom to connect to that software to enable the closed captioning to happen automatically or without my intervention. The next closed caption is breakout rooms. And again, this has to be turned on as the host. But as I said before, you can create multiple breakout rooms. If you've got 100 people in the session and you want to create 5 breakout rooms of 20 people or 20 breakout rooms of 5 people each, you can do so and have Zoom assign them automatically. You can even assign them yourselves manually, or even let the participants choose on their own. Very democratic. And then now there's also sometimes a reaction button. And again, the host would have to enable this. And so if there's a reactions button, you'll see all kinds of emojis. And there are a lot of emojis. Next to the 6 you see in front of you right now, there are 3 little dots. And those 3 dots usually indicate more options, sort of like an ellipsis, ... And in this case, we also have a lower hand, raise hand button. So if you have a reactions button there, you may not have a raise a hand button at the very bottom, like I showed you before. That raise hand button might be under or inside the reactions button. Now, so that raise hand button, once your hand is raised, it's raised for until someone lowers the hand. unlike the emojis, which appear for a few seconds and then go away. Now I'm in the top right corner of the Zoom window because you can change your view. So right now in this Zoom session, we are in speaker view. And so that means that the person who is presenting the meeting or whoever is spotlit, because you can, as the host, spotlight different people so that they are front and center in speaker view. But as the participant, you can elect to change this to gallery view, which means you would see everyone in the Zoom meeting. And then right below that, you see a full screen or exit full screen option. So sometimes Zoom puts itself in full screen. And if you want to leave full screen, you simply come to the view menu, click on exit full screen, or you can even hit the escape key on your keyboard, and that will also allow you to exit full screen right away. Okay, but that's all in the top right corner under the view menu, or the view button, sorry. And that was fast. So if you have any questions, you can always reach me via email at complabny@sagaftra.foundation. If you've got questions, you can also call me at 212-863-4240. Again, my name is Jay Cho. I hope this was helpful for you all. And yeah, and I hope to see you in the computer lab via our classes, because all of our classes, actually all of the foundation programming online happens via Zoom. And I hope to see you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. That was terrific, as always. Wonderful to have you back with us. And today's presentation was stellar, as always. I hope you're here for a few more minutes and can answer a couple of questions. Our members have sent in some really great questions for you. So let's see if we can play Stump the Presenter.
Okay.
Starting with, are there other programs similar to Zoom that I should learn? Do you offer classes on any other kinds of video conferencing software?
It's a good question. We don't offer classes on any other video conferencing software. In fact, we don't even offer classes on Zoom, which is why I think this is so helpful, since you're making this available for members, because a lot of things are happening on Zoom. That said, there are others out there like Microsoft Teams, and there are others out there. Google's got Meet, which is good because they're all competing heavily and improving the software. All their software is improving because everyone's online, obviously, nowadays. But we don't actually offer specific classes on other video conferencing software, to answer the question.
Okay, great. Thank you. Maybe something to consider for the future. And then also just a quick note that the mention of product names during our seminars is not an endorsement or a warranty of any particular product. Just a reminder to the audience that there are many, many good products out there, but we haven't tested all of them. So when we mention something, it's not in the way of an endorsement. So thank you for that, Jay. That was terrific. And next question. Can I set up Zoom so I only have to look at the people I want to see?
So as the host, you can set it up so that you can only see the ones you want to see. But as the participant, you cannot. So as the host, and as the participant, you can, if you hover over that person's little, square in the Zoom session, you will see an option to, there'll be 3 dots, and you'll see an option to pin that square, which means that square will be front and center on your screen there, versus on another page, because sometimes the meeting session could be so big that, if there are 50 people in the room, you may not see everybody on that one page. So pinning them will make sure that they are right in front of you at all times. You can also even drag the squares around, as long as no one is spotlit. In other words, as long as the host didn't spotlight somebody to be where the host wants them to be. Once that happens, you cannot reshuffle those squares because the host doesn't want you to. But if they haven't done that, you can actually drag the squares around to be in the exact pattern you want, so that it'll look the way you want it to look. So you do have some control, maybe not as much as you'd like.
That is so interesting. I had no idea you could do that. Can you pin multiple people? And so basically have the screen you want to see as a participant rather than what's being presented by the host?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
So
wow, that's very
you would
cool.
change your view to gallery view, and you can do that. And again, as long as the host did not spotlight people, you can do that on your own.
Oh, very interesting. Thanks for that. Learn
welcome.
something new every day, as they say. Next question. I saw that video of the lawyer who was stuck looking like a cat on Zoom. Oh my gosh, that was funny. How do I make sure that doesn't happen to me?
That's a good question. Yeah, that got everyone's attention, didn't it? Going back to my presentation, when you're the Zoom software, if you click in the bottom left corner on next to the Start Video button, there's a little arrow. If you click on the little arrow, you'll see the options for background and video settings. Go to the background settings because you want to make sure your background set to none. You've got no filters turned on, and then you can rest assured that you won't be purring anytime soon.
I'm not a cat, Your Honor. I promise I'm not a cat. For those of you who didn't see the meme, it's pretty funny. Check it out.
I agree.
Cat lawyer, I think you could Google. Next question. Thank you, Jay. I tried to raise my hand in a meeting, but when it showed the hand on my picture, it disappeared after a few seconds and I didn't get called on. How do I get the raised hand to stay long enough so someone will see that I have a question?
And again, I don't know 100% for sure, but I would bet money as to what happened. It sounds like you hit one of the emoji buttons, which does go away after a while, thinking that was the raise hand button, because the raise hand button will not go away until you or the host lower the hand.
Okay.
Okay.
And the next question, how do I send a question to a specific person? Sometimes I have questions that I don't want to send to everyone. I'm wondering, I don't know, it's not clear to me if that's chat or Q&A, but perhaps you can differentiate.
That sounds like the chat, and you can obviously ask, say anything you want in the chat. And in the chat, again, as long as the host has enabled it, your chats by default are sent or seen by everybody. But you can actually select who you want to send the chat to, and that's a direct message or a private message. And in the chat area, which again appears on the right-hand side when you hit that chat button at the bottom of the screen, you can select that it's seen by only one person, and then it works.
Okay. Very good. The next question from one of our members is, after you alter a picture of your own to Zoom specs for use as a background, how do you stop the edges of your image from fading in and out? I've tried a green screen backdrop, but it didn't help.
Right. So what they're talking about is when you have a background set up and you move around a little bit, you can see a lot of artifacting happening. You can see your real background peeking through. That is very often a function of the computer and sometimes the software, but very often the computer can't handle all that movement and keep up with it, which is why when you move fast, you're more often to see that leakage coming through in the edges between yourself and the background. So unfortunately, there's no great answer to that question because it would require you getting a computer with better graphics capabilities. But it's a very common thing and very difficult to eliminate. A green screen can help, provided that green screen is lit properly. And if it's not lit properly, then it won't work as well as you want it to, because the software is using a specific color green, which is why it has to be evenly lit, to key that out, to remove that color and replace it with the image or video of your choosing.
Okay, so tell me something. I'm noticing the backgrounds that we are using right now. And so Mara has a background that I think is probably static and real, right? And not a virtual background like mine. So you don't see the same artifacting around her hair that you see in mine against the background. Is that what's happening? Is the virtual backgrounds are just prone to that kind of...
Exactly. So what's happening is you see in Mara's, it's just one image. because like you said, it's a real background. But in yours, there's two images. And so the software is constantly trying to make sure that you are in front of the other one. But as you're moving, it's got to constantly readjust, which is why you're seeing the difference between your background and hers.
Okay. Oh, good. All right. Good to know. Our next question. When I turn my video off during a Zoom meeting, I noticed that some people have headshots that come up in place of their name. I cannot for the life of me figure out how to make my headshot come up when I turn the video off. I've spent hours searching online for this information, and I wonder if it's necessary to purchase a Zoom membership in order to have this feature.
So I know this has been frustrating because I know some members who have mentioned this to me before. And I'm happy to say we did get it resolved, but it can be a little finicky. So I've noticed that if you do it on your phone, you seem to have better luck with this process. So when you log into Zoom on your phone and you go to your profile, and again, as I showed you in the session, you can click on your the outline of a face or your image and choose a photo to that's seen whenever you're off camera, and that'll be seen by the other participants. That seems to be the best way of doing it. And so I would give that a shot. Again, try it on your phone versus your desktop, because that seems to be the trick. And why that's the case, I have no idea. But from my experience, and it's all anecdotal, that has proven to work.
I was just checking for my photo and I don't have one. So apparently it defaults to your name when you don't have a photo. Jay, thank you so much. That is it for today's Q&A session. I want to thank SAG-AFTRA members for sending us those terrific questions. And now back to SAG-AFTRA NED Duncan Crabtree, Ireland.
Thanks, Pamela.
Well, thank you so much, Jay, for walking us through how to use Zoom. I hope that answered the questions that many of our members may have had, and that everyone is feeling more empowered to use Zoom now. As a reminder, the replay of this live stream will air here on our YouTube channel, so you can come back to it again and again to review the material if that would be helpful. On behalf of the whole team here at SAG-AFTRA, we'd like to thank you for taking the time out to be here with us. It's been a true pleasure having you joining us today. And special thanks to each of you who've been tuning in each week for our President's Task Force on Education, Outreach, and Engagement live streams. If you haven't already, while you're here, please subscribe to SAG-AFTRA's YouTube channel to get updates on the great content we're posting. Thank you so much and have a great day.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.